Alright, well, I first met Barney in '73. There was only a few shops around North Jersey at the time. Stan Dennis in Bloomingdale, Larry's in Butler, the next town over. And then there was Barney up in Spring Valley, New York. That was, there hadn't been any shops in Spring Valley yet. There had only been a couple in all of Rockland County in the old days. One of my mentors, Bill Rossi, had a shop in Congers, New York, that was called Diamond Tattoo. But I heard about Barney from some other collectors I hung around with down in Bergenfield, New Jersey, where I was living at the time. And I went in there and spoke to Barney. I didn't just get tattooed. He was busy, needless to say, because there were so few tattooers around. And I wasn't one of them rude kids trying to push my way up to the front. I'd just stand around quietly and wait my turn, and I think Barney appreciated that, because a lot of people who came in those days were little assholes. Wanted a skull with red eyes. So, Barney was, I explained to him that I wanted something a little different, and I got the Coleman Dragon on my left forearm. You can't see it anymore because it's just blended in with the black. But he did a real nice job, real crisp, a little bit of finer line than Stan Dennis was making, and did everything perfect, just like the picture. But then he didn't put the orange in the horns. I was like, I took him back over, I showed him the picture. It's supposed to get orange in there. He said, oh yeah, that's $5 extra. So I paid him the $5 and got the orange in there. And I really liked his work, I liked his attitude. I went in there and got, the day after Christmas, I'd gotten $100 from my mother-in-law. And I took the money and went straight to Sailor Barney's. He wasn't that busy that day, needless to say, so he was real happy to see me. So he did the dead Rough Rider on my upper arm here, and the spider web around the Stan Dennis rose that I had in the middle of my arm. Pulled that all together into a nice big tattoo, and he had Shelley do some of it. He did all the lines and shaded in the skull and the hat, but he left the spider web to Shelley. That was an easy thing to do, and I think he was still teaching her at the time. So that was real cool. In that he was willing to just go ahead and do something. Stan Dennis only did the tattoos on the wall, 88 sheets, that was it. He just did those designs that were on the wall. Didn't like to work on the chest, didn't like to work on the back. Harder to stretch the skin in the old days. You needed an assistant, really, to grab the skin so you wouldn't wipe the stencil off. And then I really, I trusted the guy, I trusted his judgment. He was easy to do business with. And I went back and I asked him for a sacred carp. And actually, you know what? I just skipped a very important part of that spider web. when I got the dead Rough Rider done on me, he didn't have it on the wall. And I said, well, I saw it in the Spalding catalog. And needless to say, he freaked out. He just like, what the? Where did you see that? Actually, it belonged to a friend of mine, Joe Iannaci, and he had climbed up into this guy Larry Wozdyke's apartment in Paterson, New Jersey, and stole his tattoo equipment and the catalog. And that was really the story of how I got to see the dead Rough Rider. And Barney was real grumbly about it. And he did it on me, but the whole time he was like sullen and not happy about it. And I didn't understand why until much, much later. I didn't know him that well, I mean, just a client. So, but then I went one more time to Barney's and I asked him for a sacred carp. And he, same thing, his brows furrowed, and he was, had that what the fuck look on his face. And I was like, I whipped out this, what was it? It was one of the first issues of the Smithsonian magazine. I had just started subscribing to it. And it had this great article about Irizumi, and showed this old tattooer. None of the hories that we're familiar with in this day and age, or even any of the hories that I was familiar with when I started tattooing. And he had a full bodysuit of nothing but gray water, black background, and red carp. And they didn't call them koi in those days. The actual the lore, the stories around it have nothing to do with little decorative koi swimming around in your backyard. It had more to do with the wild fish, which they do not know how long they live or how big they can get. And it was a creature like that, that was almost mythical in reality. When you think about it, there's like 10-foot long carp swimming around in the Yangtze River to this day. So it wasn't a koi. But Barney dug around in his little desk. He had like a little telephone desk that they used to have in the old days. 2 little drawers and you rested your telephone on it. And he rummaged through there and he whipped out a carp stencil and did it on me. He didn't have blue, he did the water in green and yellow, like how you would do it if there was a sail ship. And, but I really liked it, because it wasn't a skull with red eyes, or some other dumb thing. And I think he enjoyed doing it too, because he was probably sick of doing skulls with red eyes too. So, yeah, that's how I started out with Barney, and that night has another story that goes along with it.